flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. Good evening, everybody. It's wonderful to see such a packed house here at the ESC. See some special visitors, see a number of our students. Tonight's a very, very special meeting for us. Welcome. Happy New Year to you all. Happy second semester. And tonight will be our reorganization meeting. Tonight is kind of a bittersweet moment. And if you would join us, we did have a loss in the PHM family recently. And I'd like for us to have a moment of silence for Dr. Bob Profit. Dr. Profit was a well-respected school board member at PHM for about 16 years, well-respected member of our community, and his absence will be deeply noticed. And so if you'll join me, please, I'd appreciate a moment of silence. And we certainly wish his family our prayers and our deepest condolences. So we'll get started with the business portion of our meeting. I'll call this meeting to order. It is 7:05 p.m. And the first thing that is on our agenda tonight is the oath of office for returning and new board members. Per board policy 142.2, the oath of office, it says that each newly elected, re-elected, appointed, or reappointed board member shall take an oath of office administered by a notary public or other qualified person not later than 30 days after the beginning of the term of the office to which she or he was elected or appointed. Joining us this evening to administer the oath of office to our new and returning school board members, which would be myself, Mr. Beeler, Ms. Sullivan, and Mr. Chaffee, is the Honorable Jamie Woods, also a former member of the Penn-Harris-Madison School Board. And I'll now recognize the Honorable Mr. Jamie Woods for a few remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. I just want to say what an absolute honor and a privilege to come back to administer the oath of office to such fine candidates and now our board members. If I could just have a minute just to say that growing up here in the PHM community, to look and see this board of directors and the community's support that they have, it's just been an amazing thing. So it's just a privilege to be here. I just would be remiss if I didn't talk about each of you just real quick and just some of the traits I know from all of you. Mr. Beeler, you were on the board when I was in middle school. You were born in Madison Township. I think you still live in the same house you were born in, so somehow you got the better end of the inheritance. Your children are at Penn, your grandchildren are at Penn. You've served on this board so many times as president. You're a great mentor to many board members. I love you. You're just an honor to the community. And one of the best things I know about Larry is he was a leading scorer in St. Joseph County in basketball when he was at Madison High School. Mr. Riley, I've known you a long time. You're a California boy, but you're an honorary Kingsman at heart. Your children graduated from Penn. You've been on the board since 2011. You're served as a great president. I've sat through many governmental meetings, more than I'd ever like to recount, and you run the best meeting I've ever seen. So, Mr. Riley, you're a community man. It's an honor to be here this evening for you. Ms. Sullivan, I know that you're a Penn graduate. You were a valedictorian of your class. You were a cheerleader at Penn. You were on numerous committees, PHM and the PTO. I know that your children are involved at Penn football and band, and you were involved in the same things. You have two boys that are Eagle Scouts, and I know you're involved in Scouts, and you serve as a nurse. You also have a caring heart. Mr. Chaffee, I know that you're at least a third generation Kingsman. I understand that one of your family members designed the Kingsman logo, so that hopefully they get some residuals off that. I know your parents here. I see Doug here and your mom. Many years they've labored at PHM. I know you had a 4.0 GPA. You're a basketball player. I remember watching you play. You did even better things after you graduated from here. You went to IU. You served as a manager associate with their IU men's basketball program. Just a couple things I picked up on. Just look from the outside looking in. I think you're now the youngest PHM school board member in the history of PHM. So congratulations, Mr. Chaffee. I was 30 and you got me beat. I'm not sure if this leader, when she was getting into the books, determined who you beat, but if there was somebody between us, but congratulations on that. But one thing I picked on just more recently I want to say about Mr. Chaffee is he's a person of faith. I saw from his Facebook page, he just shared his testimony of members of the IU basketball team for the Kansas game. That takes a lot to do that. So Mr. Chaffee, you're not only a good community member, you're a good representative of Christ. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate you letting me ramble a little bit, but it's just an honor to be here. I was tickled pink to come today and look at all the men and women I'm get to administer this oath to. So it's a highlight of my 2023 so far.
Well, it's kind of a highlight of mine too.
I'm sure you're happy.
Thank you so much for your service to BGM board. You know, the thing about Jamie Woods, he's such a humble guy that when he was appointed to be a judge, he requested that there be no fanfare for his departure because he just wanted to take the seat and do so humbly. You're a humble servant of the people. You're a humble servant of PHM. You're a great friend. Thank you so much for being here. It's an honor to have the oath administered by you.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. All right, ready for the oaths? I understand I'm administering the oaths collectively.
Yes.
And there'll be individual photo time later. So please, would you like to approach and stand up here?
Would you like us to
I
stand?
think the four of you should probably stand together, probably make a good picture.
Yeah, I would take that. Take it.
Please raise your right hands. Repeat after me. I solemnly swear
I solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the laws of the United States
the laws of the United States,
and the State of Indiana.
and the State of Indiana.
I will faithfully execute the duties
I will faithfully execute the duties
of my office as a member
of my office as a member
of this governing body,
of this governing body.
so help me God.
So help me God.
I further affirm that I possess
I further affirm that I possess
the qualifications as required by the laws
qualifications as required by the laws
of Indiana
of Indiana
for members of the Board of School Trustees
for members of the Board of School Trustees
of the Penn-Harris-Madison School Corporation,
of the Penn-Harris-Madison School Corporation,
that I will honestly and faithfully
that I will honestly and faithfully
perform the duties of the office,
perform the duties of the office,
that while serving as a member of such Board of School Trustees,
that while serving as a member of such Board of School Trustees,
I will not become interested directly or indirectly
I will not become interested directly or indirectly
in any contract with
in any contract with
or claim against
or claim against
said corporation,
said corporation,
and I will not be influenced during my term of office
that I will not be influenced during my term of office
by any consideration except
by any consideration except
that of merit and fairness
that of merit and fairness
in the appointment of officers
in the appointment of officers
and the engagement of employees for said school corporation.
and the engagement of employees for said school corporation.
Thank you very much. Congratulations to you all.
President Riley, wouldn't it be great if we got a couple pictures?
Sure.
I think you're being called back. Glasses off. Gentlemen, congratulations. We've done this before, Mr. Wheeler. Congratulations. So let's,
Maybe behind the table.
in the middle.
I think if you guys can just line up behind the table. All right, right here. 1, 2, 3. One, 2, 3. All right, congratulations.
Now, don't leave yet. You know, we talk about a triangle success that connects students, teachers, and parents, and it works at all different ages. They've all had great connections. So why don't we start with Board Member Chappie to introduce special guest.
Yeah, so I got my two brothers here, Kevin on the left and my brother Chris on the right. If you guys want to stand up. And then my two parents, that's Brenda, holding my son Lucas, and then my father, Doug.
Oh, you have a few, I've seen them.
I do. So my mom, Sherry Peterson, and our dear friend Linda Lucy, we call her Auntie Lala. And then two of my 4 kids are here. My 2 oldest went back to college, but my 2 youngest are here. Sam Sullivan, he's a senior at Penn, and Joe is a sophomore at Penn.
Have your families come up and have pictures with Dr. Thacker. Yeah.
Last 2 years.
Here and there.
Right here.
You get this flare. That's no sign.
Buddy.
Perfect.
Good.
Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's a special moment for all of us. It's especially an incredible moment for our newly elected school board members. And so, Mr. Chaffee and Ms. Sullivan, once again, take this opportunity to welcome you as new members of the Penn-Harris-Madison Board of School Trustees. Mr. Beeler, for yet another 4-year term, congratulations and welcome back. And I'm certainly very grateful for the opportunity to continue to serve you for another 4 years. We will move on to our next item on the agenda, which is the election of the board officers. Our first order of business for the start of each new year is the board reorganization, otherwise known as the election of officers. And I will turn it over to Mr. Jeff Johnson to lead this item.
Thank you. My seat is temporarily occupied. If that's okay. Got to get those signatures notarized or you guys aren't official, so. President Riley, Dr. Thacker, members of the board and new members of the board, congratulations and welcome. I have the pleasure of conducting the election of officers for 2023. And in that regard, I would like to begin with the office of president. Are there any nominations for the office of president of the PHM School Board for 2023?
Yes, I would move that Mr. Jim Garrett be elected as president of PHM School Board of School Trustees.
Is there a second? Okay.
I move that Chris Riley be elected as president of the school board of trustees.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. The nomination of Mr. Garrett fails for lack of a second. We'll now vote on the nomination of Mr. Riley. All those in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Let the record reflect that Mr. Riley has been elected to the office of president of the school board for the 2023 year by a vote of 5-1. I would now like to call for nominations for the office of vice president.
Yes, I would move that Mr. Jim Garrett be elected vice president of PHM Schools Board of School Trustees.
Are there any seconds? Are there any other nominations?
I would like to nominate Brian McCullough.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
So the nomination of Mr. Garrett for Vice President for 2023 fails for lack of a second. We will now take a vote on Mr. McCullough. All those in favor signify by saying aye,
Aye.
and those opposed signify by saying nay.
Yay.
Let the record reflect that Mr. McCullough has been elected to the office of Vice President of the Penn-Harris-Madison School Board for the 2023 year by a vote of 5-1. I would now like to call for nominations for the office of Secretary of the PHM Board for 2023. Are there any nominations?
I hereby nominate Ms. Claire Roach to be elected Secretary of the PHM Board of School Trustees.
Are there any seconds?
I second.
Are there any other nominations? I would now call for a vote on Ms. Roach for the office of Secretary for 2023. All those in favor, vote aye,
Aye.
and those opposed, vote nay.
Yay.
So let the record reflect that Ms. Claire Roach will serve in capacity as Secretary to the PHM School Board for the year 2023 by a vote of 5 in favor and 1 against. As I've indicated, these members will serve as board officers for the 2023 year. Mr. Riley as president, Mr. McCullough as vice president, and Ms. Roach as secretary. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Mr. Riley, I'd like to take the opportunity now, Dr. Thacker, if you don't mind holding that. Thank you. Just to recognize you for the service and the leadership that you've shown to this school board and to the school corporation over the years. We appreciate your dedication and your commitment to civility and to the betterment of this district. And we want to present you with this plaque in honor of our gratitude and in recognition of your service.
Thank you, Ms. Roach, very much. Thank you, Dr. Thacker.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate the vote of my colleagues. I also appreciate having served last year, and I would be remiss if I didn't extend a word of appreciation for Vice President Angie Gates, who served and did a wonderful job as Vice President last year. And I look forward to working with you again this year and making great strides for PHM. Before we move on to the next board agenda item, there were a number of individuals who signed up to speak specifically on agenda topic 5.01, which was the nomination of officers. So before we move on, let me call on them in the order that I have them as having signed up and briefly read just some instructions. Regular board meetings, the public is invited to address the board on specific topics with registering. Time limit of 3 minutes shall be enforced for persons wishing to speak during the hearing of visitors. It is requested that names and addresses be stated at the beginning of such comments. Individuals may speak only once during this section of the agenda. Personnel and issues are absolutely not to be addressed during open sessions of the board. Concerns about individual employees of the district should be brought to the superintendent or to his designee. The board does not respond to questions or comments posed this time. And before I call him up, let me also extend my sincerest apology to Mr. Brian Jones, who also had signed up to speak on item agenda 4.01. So Mr. Jones, I will make it up to you by allowing you to speak on both topics, 4.01 and 5.01, with a time limit of 6 minutes.
That is awesome. Yeah, so I just wanted to, President Riley, Dr. Thacker, board members, good to see some new faces up here. 4.1, I think, I just wanted to extend my congratulations to Matt Chaffee, Dana Sullivan, to you, Mr. Riley, and Mr. Basketball over here, Larry Beeler. I mean, look, you got to be proud of what you've accomplished, right? I mean, this election season kind of takes a toll, and you know, there's
I guess, 4 people that have something to show for it. So you must really be proud. There's only 7 people in our whole district that are sitting up here. So you're in a small percentage of the population, which kind of puts you in rare company, and that's something to be proud of. Especially when the people this go around, like, it was a pretty contentious election. There was a lot. It was contentious. I mean, I should say it was contended rather than like just one person on the ballot, as opposed to that or maybe being appointed to the board. So congratulations, good job, way to go. I haven't had a chance to say that publicly at a meeting yet. So I also look forward to how this board decides to move forward and conduct itself and conduct its business. It is my hope that the new phases here will critically question all of the proposals that come up through the administration and through the administrators that come before you. I do hope that it will be bounced off of the mission of the school board. I do hope that it will be in the best interest of everyone in the school corporation. I mentioned earlier how you are in a very small population of people that get elected to an elected office. I mean, I don't know how many people. We'll say there's 70,000 here, 1%, probably a little bit less than that. But now the hard work starts, and you're in a position where you're serving the other 99, right? And you can't let that go. And we've seen some things over the past couple of years that I will still maintain that I think are probably not in the best interest of everybody. I think there's been some special interests that have crept in over time. We've seen misleading and sometimes false statements and supportive decisions made. On more than one occasion, we've seen the amount of parental consent or parental say-so in a child's education be reduced. We've allowed our children to be exposed to less than appropriate content and characters that are in positions of authority. The board's largely remained silent, while groups closely associated with PHM and individually have said things that are less than the environment that you espouse to promote: warm, healthy, inclusive, and friendly, I guess. White supremacy comments and violent extremists don't really fit the bill, and no one says anything about it, which basically kind of says you condone those things. You've also blurred the lines on some behaviors as board members and administration, in my opinion. But it's not about that. It's about my urge to ask everyone to serve the people that have elected you, right? To put your own personal bias beside, to do things in the best interest of the school community. But again, I congratulate you. The work is just now beginning. I respect the position that you're all in 100%, or I would have never tried to do it myself. I know it's a hard job. I get it. Stay true to the mission. And I think you'll end up seeing that will serve every person in the community rather than not doing so. Congratulations. I look forward to the coming year, and thank you all.
Mr. Jones, thank you very much. Really appreciate your kind words. Next up is Christy Witt.
Hi, my name is Christy Witt. I live in Granger. You have my address. Congratulations to all those on the board for 2023. I'd like to reflect on what happened in the last year, because sometimes if you don't tie up or address loose ends, they just fester. By ignoring truth, it doesn't make it go away, and the lies and lack of leadership can turn things into rot. 2 of you on this board took thousands of dollars by a PAC run by a PHM parent. That claims to be nonpartisan, but those that donated are the very people who wanted universal masking, universal vaccinations, and schools closed. The PAC also wanted respectful dialogue, but you better only listen to those employed by Notre Dame, South Bend Tribune, Dr. Fox and his hounds, or the doctors that just know better, which leads to how our kids are being taught currently on not how to critically think, but told what to think and how to feel, kind of like sheep. Those that donated happen to be your closest friends, right, Mr. Riley? Mayor Maria, as a top donor, spoke just last month on how you've created a kind, warm, loving, inclusive environment under your leadership. You actually ran on those words. There's nothing kind about your supporters spreading lies over the internet about fellow community members and parents. There's nothing loving or warm about a parent being arrested for supposedly challenging a viewpoint and supposedly going over his minutes. And there's nothing inclusive about you continuing to support a hire that was made that tried to target teachers to implement a white supremacy triangle in the classroom. There's nothing kind about ignoring fellow board members who want to make sure that none of the tenets of CRT are being discussed in a classroom. You ignored them for a year. You're ignoring them now. There was also nothing kind or warm about Brian, Andy, and Matt's political science being turned into a target for shooting practice. We brag about our safety record and zero tolerance on bullying. Yes, some of your supporters were the biggest bullies on the internet during the election, especially. These supporters claim to be therapists and lawyers or married to them, so that probably makes it okay. Under your leadership, the state of Indiana told you no to inappropriate surveying of our kids, no to secret superintendent meetings. We as parents continue to tell you no on the overreach, but you constantly try to find workarounds for your woke agenda. Getting back to the thousands of dollars you took from the PAC, donations also came from the union president, media director of PHM, and teacher of almost 40 years who practically drove your PR campaign bus. Meanwhile, Mayor Maria, Mrs. Roach, and Dr. Thacker steadfastly emailed countless of families without their approval on why they should vote for certain people. While we dodged a bullet on property values going down, this board can't continue to operate with arrogance, ignorance, and lack of transparency. 40% of the community has woken up and more realize the lack of professionalism by this board. Do better, it's 2023. Leave our kids out of your progressive ideology and focus on the learning gaps that were created by your decisions. Thank you. I know you can do it.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith. Next up is Tracy Cota.
Good evening, Dr. Thacker and board. So I actually was going to speak on congratulating Matt Chaffee and Dana Sullivan. I appreciate that. I was also going to speak on the recommendation for a board president, but since we got bypassed, which that's typical of the board to do to us, they don't listen to us. That's why we come and we speak. I would have recommended Jim Garrett. We are tired of the good old boys. We are tired of you not listening to us. We are tired of thanks for the comment. Come again. Thank you. Come again. It gets old. You take nothing that we say seriously. And I've brought some pretty serious things to the board that did not get resolved. And I followed the channels. I went through the principal. I went through the superintendent, got emailed. Nothing was done. And here we are. And we're back to the same good old boys club. You just skipped right over taking any recommendations from what are we called? Constituents, stakeholders. Yeah, nothing from us. Our opinions don't matter unless we're part of a PAC or we give you money. I don't have that money and I wouldn't give it to you anyway. Thanks.
Thank you, Mrs. Cota. Mr. Ben Dallas.
So my speech was meant to be read before the vote, but that didn't happen. Not supposed to screw these things up on the first day, but that's okay. Congratulations to everybody. Welcome to 2023. And yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, thank you all for your comments. We'll move on to our next item, which is the adoption of the agenda. Board members, the agenda has been submitted by the administration. Do you have any additions or changes? Administration?
Administration has no changes.
Then do I have a motion to adopt the agenda for the Monday, January 9, 2023 regular board meeting as presented?
I so move.
I second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed vote nay. Motion carries by a vote of 6-0. We'll move on to approval of the minutes. Board members, any additions or changes to the minutes from the December 12, 2022 executive session and regular board meeting? Administration?
The administration has no changes.
Then do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the December 12, 2022 executive session and regular board meeting as presented?
I so move.
A second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed vote nay. That motion also carries by a vote of 6-0. We'll move on to the superintendent's recognitions and announcements. Dr. Thacker.
Thank you very much and welcome everybody and Happy New Year. We're glad to have everybody back. And it's my pleasure to introduce our outstanding student board ambassador, Kiara von Eschenbach. She's going to give the first report of 2023. Mr. Riley, you'd be welcome to congratulate her on her school choice.
That I will.
Good evening, Dr. Thacker, President Riley, and members of the board. I hope you all had a wonderful and relaxing winter break. I'm happy to be back to share some amazing academic and athletic highlights with you again tonight. Starting off with athletic news, Penn Girls Wrestling won the regional championship on Friday, and Penn Boys Wrestling finished 6th overall in the state competition. The Penn bowling team was also named undefeated conference champion. And finally, Joe Smith, a senior boys basketball player, was awarded the Richard P. Jennings Scholarship by the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. In academic news, Schmucker, Grissom, and Discovery had their first ever middle school debate tournament, judged by Penn High School debate students, where 34 middle school students participated. Congratulations also to Mr. Gallagher, our principal of Penn High School, for graduating with a PhD from Purdue College of Education. Lastly, in Kingsman Court news, our Snowball Spirit Week began today, and to keep in theme with our attire over winter break, we welcome students back with PJ Day. We are very excited for the rest of the week, and we are all looking forward to the snowball dance on Sunday. Thank you, and that is all I have for you tonight.
Thank you, Kiara, very much. Now, understand that there might be a special announcement, a special occurrence has happened in your life recently.
Oh, yeah, I was accepted into college.
Not just any college.
Georgetown University in Washington.
Congratulations. We are so proud of you. You do such a great job, and you're going to do a great job at Georgetown. We'll
Thanks.
see you next month.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Okay, now our next item is the superintendent spotlight. Excellence happens here. PHM's evidence-based literacy program is founded on 5 critical pillars: phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. During the school day, our highly trained teachers work with students in whole group instruction, small group, and leveled instruction, explicit phonics instruction, vocabulary building skills. But we really need to build strong readers, so we make sure that the students need to read at home. For elementary students, that means we need to partner with families. That's why Walt Disney Elementary School planned a Reading in a Winter Wonderland evening family event that included informational sessions for the parents and guardians and fun activities for the students. All the students got to take home lots and lots of free books. In tonight's Excellence Happens Here, Walt Disney staff explained this terrific example of the PHM triangle of success. Let's take a look.
At Walt Disney, we hosted our first ever Literacy Week. We started off with a kickoff assembly that got the students excited. That assembly featured some fun activities.
Then on Thursday night of that week, we had an event called Reading in a Winter Wonderland.
We wanted to showcase the fun that can occur around literacy, to bring attention to the importance of literacy.
So as a parent, it was amazing to sit here and get communications regarding this upcoming event. It was amazing to have the kids come home excited about it.
We had a variety of stations. One of them was a book walk.
We had one teacher who did a creative writing station. We had a craft room where students made bookmarks. There was also a room where parents could attend and learn more about the Big 5 of literacy.
Our goal was to provide tips and tricks to parents.
Picking a word of the day, so you could write it up on your house somewhere and say, what words do you see within this word? How can you make this word into a sentence?
When we talk about tiered literacy, tier 1 is the initial instruction, tier 2 is then reteaching, and then when we talk about tier 3, that's when you're off grade level, you're more, you're meeting students at their level, so to speak.
This was a school-wide event, but our students who are in our tier 3 groups really heard a lot about it.
We got to specifically target our group of students to encourage them to come and participate, and we saw a lot of faces that evening, which was fantastic.
We have really great rapport with our parents.
It was really nice to see Mr. Towner, our principal, as well as Mrs. Mulhern, our assistant principal, walking around the school, interacting with parents, stopping and having conversations with them.
Every child who attended left with multiple books. Better World Books donated 600 books for our kids for this event. Feed the Children donated 300 books.
Parent participation and engagement is such a key factor in kids' literacy. In today's time with technology, it's really easy to get lost and caught up in our devices, and it's just really wonderful to set it down and be a good role model and pick up a book and read.
Well, we're certainly proud of that. That kind of instruction is going on in lots of different places, but kudos to Walt Disney. And here we have Ryan Towner sitting there as the principal leading that. And for those who don't know, he is a Milken Award winner.
How about a hand for Mr. Towner and all the staff at Walt Disney? You're doing such a great job. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Next up is our consent agenda, Dr. Thacker.
Thank you for the Raleigh Board of Trustees. The administration recommends approval of the 7 items appearing on the consent agenda.
So I do actually have a really quick question, Dr. Linsky, about the photocopiers. So my understanding is Horizon and Disney did get their new ones. Those were not in this batch.
No,
right?
and Dr. Short can correct me if I'm wrong, the change order for the copy replacement plan, there were some copy machines that the district evaluated. We need something different than originally was spec'd. And so we're working with the vendor then to get the correct, those copy machines. That is not in this.
Perfect. So that kudos to whoever caught a Xerox machine. A photocopier is generally a very prized possession within a school. So whoever caught that, and then I really appreciated the attention to detail and the cost savings that it will provide over the years by going with this different model instead of the original plan. So thank you. Just as I'm talking about photocopiers though, I would love for us to take you had mentioned that every elementary school has 2 photocopiers, and the level of fanciness of the photocopier depends on the needs of the school. But I know that some of our elementary schools like Horizon are significantly larger in student population, which implies number of teachers. And I just wonder if we don't take a second look at whether or not some of our elementary schools might actually need an additional device. I'll leave it to you to make the determination, but I just want to make sure that those teachers get what they need in terms of efficiently planning and executing instruction.
Sure. Student numbers and teacher numbers are part of the equation when we're
Okay.
determining number of machines.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I have a quick question on 10.06 then too, and just from my understanding, I was just curious on why we're bringing them in, or where did we think we were falling short maybe, and then a second part to that, why did we go with this consulting agency versus maybe another one? Just kind of understanding some details behind that.
Yeah, 10.06, thank you for the question, Board Member Chaffee. Actually, what we're doing is we're working with somebody who has special training, who is helping us with a mediation and a hearing. And the person was selected and highly recommended from legal counsel.
Board members, other questions? Okay, before we take a vote, we do have a member of the public who has requested to speak on this particular agenda item. So I'll call on Mr. Brian Jones.
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. So then do I have a motion to approve the January 9, 2023 consent agenda as presented by Dr. Thacker?
I so move.
I second it.
All those in favor vote aye.
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 Any opposed vote nay. Motion carries by a vote of 6-0.
And now, I'm so proud. We just hired some new teachers. And we've been working hard at making sure that we're attracting and retaining, so hard recruiting. And this is a brand new school year. I mean, a brand new calendar year. And we already have some brand new teachers. So I'm going to have them come up and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. And a couple of them are Penn grads. And all the teachers we hired become honorary Kingsmen. So once a Kingsman, always a Kingsman. So why don't we start with Bree Feltz. She's a December grad, and she's actually a universal position at Walt Disney Elementary School. She recently graduated from Bethel College. And would you like to say anything? We're gonna get a picture of you. Okay?
I'm so glad you're here, Bree.
We are delighted. She's going to be fantastic and already is. And then I'd like to invite Alexis Rims to come forward, and another December grad. And this year she's taking a leave for teacher at Meadows Edge, and then she's going to be taking a leave for teachers at Elm Road. Another PHM grad and a recent IU South Bend grad. So Alexis, welcome, congratulations. And then we have Amanda Stonerock. And she's doing a field placement and spring student teacher at Walt Disney. So she's going to be graduating in May from IU South Bend. And so here we have Dr. Soto Kyle working hard, and obviously Ryan Towner, the keen eye. How about if we get a picture of the three of you with me, since you have a holiday card? It has to be a holiday coming up, right? Graduation, send that out.
Yes.
Valentine's Day.
Teacher Appreciation Week.
And then we're gonna let you know who you guess, okay? Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. And do you have any special guests here?
Yes, I do. So I have my mom, Lisa, which a lot of you know, and I have my little sister, Izzy. She goes to Penn right now, and then my boyfriend's here too.
Everybody's here is special.
Yes, thank you.
And then I have my mom and my boyfriend. It's another Penn grad, so.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Now, you know, you don't have to stay for the rest of the school board meeting, but you're more than welcome to. Okay, next up is an instruction report item, Dr. Thacker, on Penn High School Academies.
We're so fortunate to have these amazing academies. We talk about rigor, relevance, and relationships in the academies. You think of rigor, Penn High School being one of the flagships in the not only Indiana, but the country. The academy builds in that relevance and helps build the relationship. So Dr. Short is going to introduce this next agenda item, and it's a presentation on management and business. Dr. Short.
Thank you, Dr. Thacker. President Riley, members of the board, it's my pleasure to welcome both Mr. Josiah Parker and Mr. Kyle Barris, who will be speaking with us tonight. Mr. Barris is the Management and Business Academy leader for Penn High School. You will hear about some of the great things that are happening within that academy, as well as some of their initiatives. And then, as a highlight, we have some students that are here to speak with us this evening as well. So, Mr. Parker.
Thank you. You just took everything I needed to say.
Oh.
That's all right. Dr. Thacker, President Riley, members of the board, thank you for having us here tonight. Welcome to our new board members. We are glad to have you on board. So each of our academies come and just share a little bit of what's going on in the school year, some of the neat things that are happening in the school, and then have some students share some really interesting things. So I'd like to introduce you, Kyle Barris. He is our new Management Business Academy leader. He took over for Polycorp when she retired last year. He's doing some great things in our management classes.
Good evening, and then congratulations to every newly elected member of the board, and good to see everybody. So as Josiah Parker said, I'm filling some big shoes for Polycorp. It's been a lot. She was right across from me, so it's been a little tough. She was my go-to for advice, but I'm really excited, and we're doing a lot of good stuff. So I just wanted to go over and highlight the boring stuff, and then you guys will hear from some students. So again, I'm Kyle Barris, and it's good to be here. So do I click forward with this little guy? Which one? There we go. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of go over what we're kind of doing with the Business Academy, and my new role is the Business and Management Academy leader. So just, you guys know the academies by now, but our kind of goal is to market ourselves and all the academy, and really a new initiative, maybe not new, but one we really want to focus on is partnering with a lot of community partners, people in the community, and having students work with people, businesses, networking outside of the school. So that's kind of something we've always done, but I think we're really focusing on that now, especially in the Business and Management Academy. So kind of with that focus, and then going over some highlights of what we want to do. So just Agenda is ongoing activities. So there's some new business pathways we're going to look at that I think the whole state of Indiana is kind of dealing with. The Business and Management Academy kind of has a good role with the different, anything from accounting, marketing, finance, computer science, kind of these built-in pathways that were already there, and kind of putting those to use to meet the, the new IDOE standards and pathways for graduation that some kids may use, some kids may need. Other things we have that I think I'm personally really proud of and really close with are our academic clubs and partnerships, and then our clubs, technology, esports. So one of the biggest clubs, career and technical student organizations, is DECA. So I'm also the advisor for DECA. I think a lot of you guys on this board are very familiar with DECA. I've had a lot of kids run through it, and so I'm very excited about it. And that's kind of one of our biggest clubs at Penn. And I'll talk more on that later. And then we also offer courses in competitive esports, but a lot of tech skills such as coding, web design, graphic design that are useful for, a number of different things, business field and beyond. So those are things we have focused on, and I'm very lucky that Penn offers those courses when a lot of schools don't. So business courses and pathways, what are, some of the things we have? So we have the accounting pathway. We have business law. There's the computer science pathway. We have computer illustrations, computer graphics. We have entrepreneurship. We have personal finance. We have management. We have the marketing pathway. And then we have the work-based learning internship programs for kids to receive credit while also being able to work outside of school. So all these are great programs. And I came from a smaller school. I'm actually from Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So I think my school had accounting, intro to business. So I always think like, man, you guys are super lucky. We have all these great courses and pathways that a lot of schools don't have. So to highlight, like I said, I'm close with this one, DECA. DECA is a national career and technological student organization that spans across the globe, including China, Spain, Guam, Mexico, you name it, helping students develop skills in leadership, communication, networking. And they develop these skills by competing in events in areas of marketing, finance, entrepreneurship, hospitality, tourism, and business management. So DECA is something that's really cool. I'm in my 7th year as the advisor for DECA, and we've had a lot of success at Penn. I took over a very successful program from Stephanie McElrath about 7 years ago, if you guys remember her. But we've got a lot bigger in size, and DECA is just a very cool academic club that helps with networking, speaking, whatever. So here's some of our Penn highlights just from this year. So we have 161 current student members, which is the largest academic club at Penn, I believe. And then last year we had 12 students qualify for the International Career and Development Conference that was in Atlanta, Georgia. And we also had over 100 qualifiers at the state level of competition, which is in Indianapolis. So you might have questions on what that is, but basically there's a bunch of different varieties of competitions you can do. And to have 12 students go to internationals means they placed top 3 in the state of Indiana. So it's a very cool honor, very hard to do. They put a lot of work in, and it's really awesome. So a couple of our student members will tell you guys about that, but it's a very cool opportunity, and I'm very proud of what Penn DECA has been able to do. So there's our highlights there. So computer science and esports. So the MBA Academy continues to deliver course offerings at Penn. I talked about computer science, graphic design. You can learn anything from coding all the way up to, I think her last class for Dr. Duncan is, a gaming course where they're creating their own video games using coding. So very cool. And that kind of brings us to our esports team. So Penn also has a competitive esports team that competes in the Indiana High School Esports Network. So the Kingsman Esports team has 40 members, and they compete in 4 different video games. And they're in there. I mean, it looks like they're playing video games, but they're competing. And more and more colleges are offering scholarships for esports, and these kids are, it's competitive. It's almost athletics, and it's right there. So it's really cool that we have 40 members that compete in there with various games. And like I said, it looks like they're playing video games, but they're practicing. They're working hard in there, and they're getting some real payoff from it. So there's a picture. They had a competition I think that's in South Bend. I can't remember what the arena is called, but a very cool program that's being run with a lot of opportunity as well. So just some ongoing things, like I said, initiatives we're planning to do. So we have the pathway. So we're looking to continue to develop pathways that engage our students in specific business areas. One thing Mr. Parker and I have we're going to try to work on is revamping the internship program with more of a career focus and community partners. Right now, it's a lot of kids they kind of have their job and they get school credit for it, which is great, but we're kind of looking to shift the focus to make sure okay, you might want to be a, psychologist or a veterinarian. Why don't you work there and get school credit instead of, not that there's anything wrong with it, but like working at Martin's or wherever you're working. So kind of a career focus and trying to find more community partners that are willing to work with us. Our PBL partners and resources. So a big focus is partnering, like I said, with community partners. So develop project-based learning activities with community partners for each area of business. So marketing, management, having partners that we can work with and develop for projects that, like I said, our goal is to work with communities and people outside of just Penn High School, working with businesses, and not just for business, but a lot of the different academies are kind of looking to do that. And again, last one, have fun and market. Our classes are fun, career focused, hands-on projects. They're electives. I know we have to market and we have to kind of really show them something. All right. And then continue to emphasize fun, creativity, and real world experience that you get in the business academy. That's kind of what I preach. That's my main goal, to keep it fun, but also have that real life impact on the students. So just an example of guest speakers, some community partners we have, TCU, Crow, we have internships with them. We obviously work with Ivy Tech for dual credit. South Bend Regional Chamber offers us a lot. John Carroll had a couple guest speakers in, Rich Carlton, who I believe was a former quarterback of Penn and a Penn grad. He came in to guest speak, and then Scott Smith of Smith and Associates, which is a wealth management firm. And we try to have a number of guest speakers come in throughout the year. All right. So thank you so much, guys. Now, like I said, please enjoy hearing from some current Penn students. So I believe they determine their own order. And Taylor Little is going to come up first.
Good evening. I'm Taylor. I'm currently a senior at Penn. I've taken Principles of Marketing, and I'm currently in Strategic Marketing here at Penn. I'm involved in DECA, like Mr. Barris was just talking about, and a few other clubs. But I want to highlight one of my favorite projects we've done in Principles of Marketing, which was the Shark Tank project, which we're pretty much imitating like the Shark Tank show, which I believe most of you guys have seen, where we create a business plan for a new product and we present it to the class individually or with a partner. And we're hoping for an investment from the class, just like the show. But this project has really helped me improve my speech, my teamwork, and my problem-solving skills. The biggest skill I would say I've gained from my marketing classes is my presentation skills, which I can't stress this enough. A shout out to Mr. Barris. He had us constantly practicing in class, always had us go up in front of the class to speak. Sometimes it'd be like a 10-minute long presentation we had to do over a project we were working on for weeks. Other times it would be a quick, like 1 to 2 minute, something short. But either way, I would say I'm now definitely more of a clear speaker and more confident speaking in front of people. So like I said earlier, I'm in DECA, which is a business club here at Penn. Last year was my first year, and currently I'm still participating in DECA, and I'm also on the board. I would say it's definitely one of the best experiences I've had at my high school career. And last year, I got to compete in the state competition down in Indianapolis, and me and my partners, one of them being Kenna here, we won second place, and we got to go to internationals in Atlanta, Georgia, which, again, that's part of one of great experiences I've had at Penn. The competition there was just so great and a great experience overall. I think having that chance like lit a fire inside of me to work harder and just put more work and time and effort into something that I love doing. And I've also learned that networking is huge. Handfuls and handfuls of people that I've met through state, international, all over DECA, there are people I still keep in contact with, and I know I'll have relationships with them that'll hopefully last a long time and bring opportunities for me in the future. Not only did the classes I help decide the major for college I'm going into, but DECA also played a huge part for me. I've decided to major in marketing and cannot wait to pursue a career I love and enjoy doing.
Wow.
Thank you, Taylor. I'd have to say, just as a preliminary observation, given those communication skills, you're going to be a hit with networking.
All right, hello, my name is Kenna and I'm a senior. Through Penn, I've taken several business classes and I'm a member in DECA and I'm also on the board. These opportunities have given me a chance to find my passion for marketing in the business world. I've gained skills of problem solving, presenting, professionalism, and public speaking. DECA has given me a chance to work in real life situations while building a project with creativity and analytical thinking. Last year in DECA, my partners and I, like Taylor, created a marketing campaign with activities, schedules, and even a budget. We created a presentation and poster to present. In the second semester, we took this project to state and presented in front of a judge. We placed second in our category and qualified for internationals. Going to the DECA International trip in Atlanta was an incredible experience. We saw thousands of other students in the same mindset. I got to attend leadership conferences and learn from professionals in the industry. I've taken several business classes, including Principles of Marketing, Strategic Marketing, Intro to Business, and Computer Illustration and Graphics. In these classes, Mr. Barris has taught me to work with real-life marketing strategies like SWOT analysis and building a marketing campaign. In Intro to Business, Mr. Carroll has taught me how to budget and calculate costs and expenses. And lastly, Ms. Ball taught me how to use Photoshop to create a magazine cover and even a website. The Penn Business Academy and DECA have truly been the best parts of my high school career and have certainly prepared me for the future. After the impact these teachers have made on me, I am eager to continue learning and use what I have learned as I go into college and prepare to major in advertising. I am proud to say that these mentors have pushed me to succeed and learn more about myself in the process. Thank you.
That's awesome, Kenneth. Thank you. Kenneth, what year are you?
I'm what?
Senior.
Senior?
Yes.
Congratulations, both of you, on taking second place. It's awesome.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're all having a good night, and thank you for having me. My name is Mason Botka, and I'm currently a senior here at Penn High School, and I'll tell you a little bit about my experience with the business program. So coming into high school, I wanted to be an astronaut, and then after 1 year of math, I was like, this is boring, and I do not want to do this the rest of my life. So that's when my journey in the business program began. I took intro to business, and that kind of opened my view. It widened my scope a little bit. It showed me a whole new side of business and how it surrounds us. I mean, there's marketing everywhere on my shirt. First thing I noticed when I walked in was you guys all have HP computers and stuff. Oh, except for you. But I mean, it's a kind of a hidden world inside of the one we live in. And Mr. Barris really showed me that my first year. And from there, I further pursued my passion, taking marketing classes. And that's really when I found out this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. The thing I found most interesting about marketing is two people can do two drastically different things to the same group in the same way and get completely the same result, because there's no right way to market. There's no one right way. And that changed everything I thought about school. I mean, I was used to studying vocab and memorizing it for a test where there's only one right definition for because, where in marketing, it's not like that. It's a whole new ballpark. And that really intrigued me, and it made me really want to learn more. And outside of school, I also am a member of DECA. And me and DECA have a love-hate relationship. Last year, I really didn't know what I was getting into. And I made it to state, and then me and my partner did not do good. And you can ask my partner, I was not happy the rest of that trip. I was very mad. And coming back this year, I knew I wanted to do better. I knew I wanted to actually make it to internationals this year. And so that's another thing DECA taught me, was not just about business and applying what I've learned and kind of testing the water to see if what it's like in a real business environment was, you're going to fail sometimes too. And it's important to remember what that teaches you so you don't do it again. And basically everything the Penn Business Program has taught me has kind of helped push me further along in life. I've always thought about the future. I'm a very futuristic thinker. And going into high school, like I said, astronaut. And now, as I'll be leaving it soon, I'll be going to the University of Oregon to chase my dreams and major in sports business. And they're the top sports business school in the country. And I even want a scholarship to go there. Not full ride, though. I wish. But I don't think any of that would have been possible without the Penn Business program. And I think they really have helped me find my path and my calling. So thank you.
Okay, Mr. Riley, I think I'd be missing an opportunity as the member of the school board that sits on the Education Foundation, that when you all become wildly successful businessmen and women, please remember to come back and give to the PHM Education Foundation. I think what that was like, drop the mic, the three of you. And Mr. Barris, wow, thank you. Thank your entire team. That's the work, that's the fruit of the work that you're doing. Wow. The other thing that jumped out at me was, you know, Indiana is moving away from just pure academic test taking, right? And as we look at these things on the GPS dashboard, I mean, did we not see them today? Career and post-secondary readiness, communication and collaboration, work ethic. We have 161 kids that go to school all day long and then participate in DECA. And we wonder how we stack up, not just locally, but in Indiana and in the country and around the world. 100 qualifiers in Indianapolis, 12 in international. Like, go Kingsman, that's awesome. But so work ethic, financial literacy, digital literacy. I mean, this Penn is going to be leading the charge for how, it's not going to be hard, I think, for Penn to make a case for why we're top of the pack in this new dashboard. So this, like, thanks guys. That was really, really awesome.
Mason, I have to tell you, buddy, I think you submitted that application to Oregon a little too soon. Here's why. Do you know the characteristic that most commonly statistically associates with intelligence?
I do not.
Wittiness. And if Oregon had seen your stand-up comedy routine in the context of a PHM school board meeting, I think you would have gotten a full scholarship. I certainly would.
Elvis is on YouTube.
Actually, you should. You should send that.
That was awesome. Good job. Wow, the three of you are incredibly impressive. And Mr. Barris, Mr. Parker, I mean, what presentation do you need to do when you have these students? I mean, that's incredible. And thank you guys so much for what you're doing. What an incredible program, as evidenced by your three extraordinary students. And thank you so much for coming and spending your Monday night. By the way, come back. I know you're all seniors. Come back and see us before you graduate, okay? It's wonderful to see you. Can we have another round of applause? Okay, we will move on to item 15, which is our business and operational services action item. Dr. Thacker.
Thank you, President Riley and Board of Trustees. Our Chief Operating Officer, Dr. Aaron Linsky, will share a request for approval to award bids for several capital improvement projects. Dr. Linsky.
Thank you, Dr. Thacker. Good evening, President Riley, members of the board. We do have two items for your consideration this evening. The first is for awarding of the Moran Elementary roof replacement and masonry restoration project. This is in collaboration with I for Design architect Jackie Hildebrandt. The administration recommends awarding the roof replacement and restoration project to the lowest, most responsive bidder. We had 5 local bidders that were invited to participate in these improvements, and the projects were bid separately and combined to help promote economy of scale. We did receive 4 bids for the roof replacement. We recommend awarding to Wolf Commercial Roofing Incorporated for $1,053,580. For the masonry restoration, we received 3 bids, and we recommend awarding that to Zykowski Construction for $65,224. The projects, if approved tonight, will be completed this summer 2023. The second is for awarding L.C. Rogers Elementary School cafeteria window construction. Currently, we do not have any windows in that space. And as we utilize cafeterias more than just eating, we utilize that for our before school and after school care. We also utilize them during the school day because we're using every bit of square foot for learning environment. So we're trying to create that optimal learning environment, and we believe this will certainly increase that area for use, and it's more pleasant when we can just see outside. We all agree that this room could probably use some lights. So again, in collaboration with Jackie Hildebrandt, we recommend awarding that project to the lowest, most responsive bidder. We had 5 that were invited to participate. We received 2 bids. We recommend the project be awarded to Brown & Brown General Contractors for $84,255. If approved this evening, we do anticipate that being done this summer, 2023. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Board members, questions or comments? Before I take a vote, we do have a member of our public who has signed up to discuss this particular agenda item. So I have the pleasure of calling on Ms. Shelley Trilly.
Hi, thank you, President Riley, Dr. Thacker, and members of the board. I wanted to share an experience that I had this summer. I was just out enjoying popsicles and building strong minds and strong bodies one night at a time at Moran Elementary on July 19th. And afterwards, we decided to go to the local watering hole. Some teachers, and wow, I got an education that night. Education doesn't always happen in the classroom. And I learned, and I don't know how I didn't know it, but I learned that room 9 was a watering hole in itself. And it flooded often. Personal materials of the teachers were lost. School supplies were lost. The teacher that was just reassigned to that room had a young toddler, and she didn't feel comfortable coming in to the room to get ready for school. This is July 19th. School starts in August. And how did I not know this? Literally, I'm less than a football field away from this room, and I didn't know these problems existed. So I got home and I emailed Dr. Linsky an email that night. And I said, I need your help. We need to figure this out. It would be great if we could figure this out before the beginning of the school year. And I know it's a tight window. And he assured me, yeah, we'll get this done. So, well, we didn't. However, he brought in Mr. Coots, Mr. Messner, and Mr. Winters. I'm going to tell you, Dr. Linsky, Aaron is the perfect guy for the job he has. The roof is getting replaced. It wasn't fixed, but they put a Band-Aid on that problem. They flooded the roof twice, couldn't figure it out. I have now learned more than I ever wanted to, nor need to know about flat roofs. But I did want to say a sincere appreciation. He kept us updated on things. He brought us in and said, you know, it's not going to get fixed before school starts, but we got this Band-Aid idea that we think is going to work. You probably don't remember, but there was a really big storm in September, and guess what room was dry? Room 9. Children can sit on the floor. Materials aren't being lost. And I just can't say enough about the immediate attention that Dr. Linsky gave. I would suspect that it has something to do with the firm foundation of the 2nd grade team of teachers at Elm Road that got him to where he is now. But again, thank you to Aaron for everything you've done and your team, incredible team. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Trilly. And thank you, Dr. Linsky, for hopping on that and taking such good care of it. Thank you also to our teachers at Moran for their patience in having the situation dealt with. Okay, I will take all 3 of these matters into one motion. Do I have a motion to award the Moran Elementary Roof Replacement Project to Wolf Commercial Roofing, Inc. in the amount of $1,053,580? Award the Moran Elementary Masonry Restoration Project to Zylowski Construction, Inc. in the amount of $65,224. Award the L.C. Rogers Elementary School Cafeteria Window Construction Project to Brown & Brown General Contractors, Inc. in the amount of $84,255.
A second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed vote nay. Motion carries by a vote of 6-0. Thank you again, Dr. Linsky. Now move on to the hearing of visitors. At regular board meetings, the public is invited to address the board on general topics under the hearing of visitors without registering. A time limit of 3 minutes shall be enforced for persons wishing to speak during the hearing of visitors. Board Attorney Jeff Johnson will keep time and will let you know as your time is expiring. It is requested that names and addresses be stated at the beginning of such comments. Individuals may speak only once during this section of the agenda. Personnel issues are absolutely not to be addressed during open sessions of the board. Concerns about individual employees of the district should be brought to the superintendent or to his designee. The board does not respond to questions or comments posed during the hearing of visitors. We do have an individual who registered ahead of time to speak during the hearing of visitors, so I'll call him first, followed by anybody who's here in the ESC, followed by anybody who happens to be joining us via our live YouTube feed. So with that in mind, Mr. Ben Dallas.
So, good evening. First off, want to congratulate our two new board members. Especially want to congratulate Matt Chaffee, somebody I worked with. Being as the meeting last month, Matt had to wait outside with all the visitors while his counterpart was invited to come in early. And by the time all the visitors came in, she was already here, and Matt had to wait out with us. So, for a school board to be unilaterally focused on diversity and inclusion, this is kind of a poor example of both, to put it mildly. If this school board is so unwilling to accept and include diversity in thought while simultaneously being exclusive, then please remove yourself from the diversity, equity, and inclusion business. You're clearly not leading by example by doing the polar opposite of what you routinely preach about. But I digress. The local progressive super PAC, known as the Coalition of Common Sense, that we just heard about, they may be happy with this kind of stuff, but anyone with actual common sense surely isn't. By the way, if you were a school board candidate during the previous election and you accepted money from the Coalition of Common Sense, please return it immediately, or you can place a big D right in front of your name. And right there, you can just announce your political affiliation, because that's kind of what you're doing. This group is not nonpartisan. Their donors are publicly listed online, and anybody can look it up. It's pretty easy. So this group, the Coalition of Common Sense, I guess, they support lots of common sense things. When you look at who the donors were, what they post on social media, they all support common sense gun control, common sense third trimester abortions, common sense gender transitions, common sense forced masking for children still, and I'm waiting for an apology on that one, and common sense vaccine mandates. That's what they support. They donate the money. It's not a nonpartisan group. So it's your choice. The choice is simple. Return the money now or proudly claim your political affiliation for everyone to see. That's all I got.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Dallas. Anybody else here in the ESC who'd like to speak? Yes, sir. Come on up.
I'm Ted Fox. I'm a Walt Disney parent. First of all, I came because I wanted to support Mr. Towner in the reading of Winter Wonderland. I emailed him the night of that event and said, when is the next school board meeting so I can come and talk about what a wonderful event it was. I told my daughter before we went, I don't know how many people are going to show up for a reading event at school on a Thursday night, and it was packed. And we had a great time, and seeing the dedication of those teachers to our students at all different levels and their reading levels, really is astounding to see. It's the same thing I saw when I went in for Donuts with Dolphins a couple weeks after that, right before the break. There was a little girl crying at the front door, didn't know where to go. I think she may have been new to the school. I saw a teacher walk up, so good with her, take her by the hand, calm her down, get her into school, and really remind her at the elementary school level, it's not just about excellence in education. It's about helping these students transition to being able just to be out in the world without their parents. And I really value our school community so much for that. I would be remiss if I didn't use my time to address something that was just said. I know for a fact at the polls during the election, there were Republicans at the polls saying our candidates, our folks who are canvassing for us as Republicans are standing over there. So it wasn't partisan on one side. It was partisan on both sides. I also want to just emphasize that as a parent, I'm one of those boogeymen who I was in favor of universal masking. And in fact, I was upset when PHM decided to stop. But I also recognize you have the best interests of our kids at heart. And I recognize that I'm not the only constituent. It's a broad constituency of people, and that you were led by science and you were led by doing what was best for the teachers and the school districts, which I appreciate. I want to congratulate the district on the graduation rate. I saw the story in the South Bend Tribune. Our numbers are comparable to St. Joe and Marion. They're significantly higher than any other public school district in the area. They're 10% higher than the statewide average. So congratulations on that. And the last thing I would say is, I know you all know this, but please just continue to listen to our teachers. The teachers know what they need in the classrooms. The teachers know what they need when they need a new roof. They know what their students need to be successful, and they know how to support them. And I think if you are led by that, you always keep us on the right course. So I yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fox. We appreciate it. Who's next? Mrs. Cartwright.
Tina Cartwright. I just wanted to address this really quick. Saying that candidates are conservative when we're representing them is different than taking money from a PAC. So congratulations to the new board members and to the returning members. This has become a tough job with long hours, and it could seem like it comes with little appreciation. I personally appreciate each and every one of you, even though we might not always agree. Matt, you had to endure many things during the campaign, things that you shouldn't have. I'm very proud of you for taking the high road and pushing forward to reach the end goal. Dana, I was able to chat with a couple of your boys at Discovery, and they are lovely. So they're obviously a very good representation of their mom. I've heard many nice things about you from mutual friends, and I hope that you bring a fresh perspective to the board. Our incumbents, Mr. Riley and Mr. Beeler. Mr. Beeler, you are the picture-perfect representation of PHM. Grateful for all your years of service to our community. Mr. Riley, welcome back, and thank you for your time that you have put into PHM as well. I've always been taught to stand up for what I believe in and speak my mind, even if I'm standing alone or it's not the popular opinion. That being said, I just want to touch base on a few things. Over the years, it's obvious that there has been so much that our school board and administration has gotten right. The handling of the recent school board election isn't one of them. There was so much questionable behavior. I was honestly shocked when a South Bend Tribune article/hit piece was sent out to every single PHM parent and at the high school level, even to our students. That had no place being sent. Also, Ms. Roach, the email list. Have we figured out where that came from yet? Taking emails and cell phone numbers that were collected for fundraising, PTO, volunteers, and bashing the opposition of their chosen board candidates. This is blurring the lines, if you ask me, and based on the oath that was just taken, it might go against that as well. Mr. Riley, I certainly hope that we can have some of those open discussions that you mentioned to me after the public debate. Like I mentioned to you, we really aren't that far apart. A couple more things. Where are we on the social media policy? And lastly, out-of-district families and students need representation on the board. We do not get to vote, so who represents us? Maybe the at-large position should be changed to an out-of-district representative. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Cartwright. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Who's next?
Ashley Leader, Mishawaka. Congratulations, Matt and Dana. I have many hopes that 2023 will be the year that the triangle is repaired. I know it will get done with new leadership, but I encourage you to lead with this: integrity. True leadership should be non-biased, able to protect the triangle from crumbling, not pit teachers against parents, and able to come together in disagreement, finding common ground. A true leader should want peace and unity and find a way to get there together. A true leader looks at all sides of a situation in order to make the best decisions. A true leader knows when an apology is due and seeks forgiveness. A true leader desires transparency and avoids secrets at all costs. I hope you both will commit to this leadership. Lying, manipulation, keeping secrets, deceptions, colluding, misrepresentation, bullying, harassing, allowing others to do it for your own selfish gain, being condescending, holding on to resentment. These are not characteristics of leadership, definitely not integrity. We have been subjected to all of these. We do not expect these attributes from our students. We should not condone them for our staff or our members. I hope you choose integrity. We are the parents, and I hope that matters to you. Leadership is not a person or position. It is a complex moral relationship between people based on trust, obligation, commitment, emotion, and a shared vision of good. Effective leadership is not about making speeches or being liked. It's defined by results, not attributes. The ultimate test of practical leadership is the realization of intended, real change that meets people's enduring needs. I hope you stand when parents come before you with an enduring need and you choose to listen. We've had many families, too many, leave this district. I hope you care about them. A true leader would want all PHM families that choose to live in this district to stay and feel at home. Every single PHM family is begging for leadership to listen. Is 2023 going to be that year? It is time to heal. It is time for every PHM family to believe in that triangle. It is time for true leadership. Matt and Dana, will you pick a side? Or will you represent all of us? Will you commit tonight to listen, to hear, to see, and to not always vote status quo, but to stand on a conviction and represent all of us? The innocence of our children that we entrust to your care daily should be the utmost importance. Will you stand with parents, or will you join the others that are against us? It's time to lead. Thank you, and thank you, Matt, for nominating Jim Garrett, who's been on this board and deserves the position. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Leader. Who's next? Okay, seeing nobody. Do we have anybody who has signed up via our YouTube feed? No. Okay, well, thank you for all those who spoke, and we'll move on to board reports and requests. Board members, do you have anything to report or request?
Just a couple of things. First, I just want to take the opportunity to congratulate you, Ms. Sullivan, you, President Riley, and you, Mr. Beeler. It was a contended race, as Brian noted earlier, but looking forward to the road ahead and working with each and every single one of you. That being said, I also want to thank Mr. James Turnwald and Miss Angie Gates, or Mrs. Angie Gates, for their time on this board and the sacrifices their families made for them to be here, and the time commitment that it takes to be a board member. But I'd be remiss if I didn't take the time to thank the people in my life. I'm not here in this seat tonight if it wasn't for a lot of people that have had an impact on me over the years. That starts first and foremost with my family, my father, who's still here. The rest of my family left because my son is a 1-year-old, so kind of late. It's getting late. So, but they've supported me through thick and thin, and their support over the years has truly meant a lot. My dad, in my eyes, he's my hero, and I'm not here tonight if it's not for him and the example he has set for me as being a father to my son. So I can't see you, Dad, because there's the podium in the way, but I want to say thank you.
I'm beaming. I've got a good.
Yeah. I also would be remiss if I didn't thank my employer for them sacrificing the time for me to be away over the past several months for this campaign and certain things in my personal life, and their support of me has meant more than I could ever put into words. And I'm not here tonight if it wasn't for them. And then the volunteers, parents, some of you spoke here tonight. The sacrifices, the time, the doors you knocked on, the support you showed me, it truly means a lot to me. And I also want to thank all the teachers, coaches, administrators, any type of faculty member throughout my years in PHM schools. I attended Horizon, Discovery, and Penn High School and graduated 8 years ago. And I'm not here or the person that I am today if it wasn't for those teachers and coaches and all the other faculty members that have had a true impact on me. So I just want to say thank you to all those individuals as well. And then I noted my son earlier. Being a father gives you a different perspective on life. And my son Lucas is the light of my world. And there is no greater gift to a man in life than being a father. So my experience in PHM was a great experience, and I only want my son to have an even better experience. And in my opinion, the way you do that is there's a lot of great things about PHM schools, but there's also areas we can improve upon. And I think we need to shine a light on that, just like in sports. Great example, Nick Saban, greatest college football coach probably ever. Do you compare Nick Saban to the middle of the pack SEC coach? No. Nick Saban, they didn't have a great year this year, looks at ways to improve. That's in my opinion, and that's what I've always campaigned on. That's what I think we need to do at PHM schools. And then last but not least, I'd like to thank God. Superior Court Judge Jamie Woods noted that earlier. I very faith-based driven, and over the past 2 years, he has brought a lot of blessings to my life. And as I sit here tonight, I'm humbled looking back in the rear view mirror of seeing all of the ways he has impacted it. And I know there's still left work to be done through me for his glory. And I want to thank God. So that was that. Now changing kind of a note. One request that I would have specifically, we hit briefly on it in our orientation prior to Christmas, but like the organizational structure, if there's a way that we could be provided a report dating back the last 20 years, January 1st of each of those years, just like the organizational chart, similar to like the business world. I know there's a policy within the board policy. It's policy number 1230.01. And it states in that policy that upon request of a board member that we can have access to that. So I would request that, and just understanding January 1st of each of those 20 years, starting back to January 1st, 2004. So how the organizational structure and administration looks, and not only from organizational structure, but all the compensation and benefits that go into that for each of those positions. So whether that's allowances of some sort or per diem, et cetera, any type of benefits or features for each of those last 20 years, dating through January 1st, 8 days ago of 2023. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chaffee. Other board members' reports or requests?
Two quick ones. First, Dr. Linsky, I just wanted to tell you that over break, I had the opportunity to drive by Mary Frank and see the new signage outside of Mary Frank. That is really impressive. So I don't know who came up with that design, but it really, I feel like it's like PHM is welcoming you to downtown Granger with that, with the Mustang. So well done. Also had the chance to drive down to Meadows Edge. I didn't get a chance to peek around too much because you couldn't, but I'm really excited to see how that project is progressing. So I'd love an update maybe in a couple of months when it makes sense.
Keep your
to do
fingers
that.
crossed that the weather stays away and construction can continue, because we are on a good path. Obviously we'd like that project to be done in August, and if the weather continues to be favorable, that also looks more favorable.
Great, so it's on track. Excellent. And then Dr. Short, Mr. Towner being here reminded me that a couple of months ago, he presented a scatter plot indicating, like, illustrating Walt Disney and how Walt Disney compares to other schools of similar demographic context. Do we have those for all of our schools? How do I get my sense for how our schools are comparing to other schools of similar?
Yes, sure. Those are
Context.
created for Title I schools in particular. And there are 3 components of how they're grouped. So it's by school size, it's by SES, and then demographics. So you have different components. So we have them, I have them for all of our Title I elementary
So just
schools.
our Title I's.
Mhm.
Okay, I'd love to take a look at those.
I'd like a copy too.
Sure.
Thank you, Ms. Roach, for bringing that up.
I guess my question is, without undue and unnecessary labor in trying to reproduce those types of comparative analyses, can we do them for our other, let me just think about that. Like, I'm sure that's the state that's able to, converge all that data and compare it. I'm just basically curious about how our schools do compared to other schools that are of similar context.
Sure.
Yeah, so. I'm happy to discuss that with you before. I don't want, if it's gonna take 100 man hours to pull that off, it doesn't make sense. But if it's something that wouldn't take too long, it'd be great.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. Other reports, requests?
Dr. Thacker, I just had my notes. We're almost in the final stage of the social media policy.
Yes.
January 11th is kind of the next step in the process.
In fact, Dr. Short is meeting with the building principals, talking about how to implement the social media guidelines.
Okay. So next board meeting, that may be a topic, potentially. Policy.
We'll make sure we get you an update. Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Any other board members who have reports or requests? Hearing none, we'll move on to announcements. Monday, January 16, 2023 is a recess day for the Penn-Harris-Madison School Corporation. In observation of Dr. Martin Luther King, there will be no school. The next regular meeting of the Penn-Harris-Madison Board of School Trustees will convene on Monday, January 23rd, 2023 at 7 p.m. at Elsie Rogers Elementary School in Mishawaka. Do I have a motion to adjourn the January 9, 2023 regular meeting of the Penn-Harris-Madison Board of School Trustees?
I so move.
Second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed vote nay. We stand adjourned at 8:35 p.m. Thank you all so much for coming.